Good evening, friends, followers, channel members. It's that time again. It's a late stream. I apologize, it's a late stream, but this time at least the late stream wasn't due to the fact that it took me 5 hours to download the update. No, now we have new super fast internet. That actually happened quite quickly, but I have to work late on a Thursday evenings. So when Microsoft announced that they were going to do the update tonight on a Thursday, I thought, oh dear, should we, shouldn't we? Well, turns out we have. So we are here tonight and we are doing a live stream, and we're having a look at the Nordics. We're going to start off in Stockholm, and we're basically just going to VFR our way across the country all the way down to Kastrup at Copenhagen. So I reckon that it's going to take us probably about a couple of hours, so make sure you've got some drinks in the fridge. I know I have. There's not going to be any real world piloting going on this evening. It's going to be completely VFR and not by the book in any shape, size or format. I'm just having a look, see if we can get a little bit of self-loading cargo sorted as well, just for the heck of it. So make sure you've got some snacks, get a drink, and we're going to enjoy the beautiful scenery. Of course, we are not on VATSIM or anything like that. We are just making this up as we go along. Yeah, it's going to be fun. So we are currently at Stockholm, Arlanda, one of the new airports. And as you can see, this aircraft isn't going anywhere. But how amazing does this look? It's so detailed. Now, I've never been to Stockholm, Arlanda in real life, but of course I'm going to presume that this is there. I believe it's is it a hotel, restaurant, and how great to have that here in the simulator. So when we're doing our proper commercial flights into the airport, we're obviously going to see this depending on which runway we're coming and landing on. And I love the fact that they've even got doors built into the engines. I'm going to guess, are they the hotel rooms? How perfect would that be? I don't know if anybody else has got any more information, and I'm sure if you have, you'll let us know. So a good evening to everybody on the stream. Digital Flight Deck, I've already seen you. Combrig, Dr. Magic, Dark Fury, hello. Who else have we got on there as well? Eastbirds, good to see you, my friend. Danny Roble is there as well. Lewis Aviation, indeed, it is a late one. So great to have you, and thank you to the new subscribers that are coming along as well. Pilot Pat, good to see you too. Oh, let's have a quick look, shall we? So here we are at Stockholm, Arlanda. Now, the first thing that I noticed, and sadly it's not a great thing, I've turned up the graphic settings for this VFR tour. Just thought we'd have a little bit of fun with that. Maxim, good evening. And I was hoping, I've even turned up the amount of traffic on the roads. Well, this looks very empty. The only thing I can potentially think is, I don't know if it responds to real world times. Are the roads busier during peak times than they are early hours? Obviously we're not on live time, we are on I don't know what time it is. I've just set it to early morning, I believe. Captain 79, good evening as well. Great to see you. But this is Stockholm Arlanda in all its glory. Now, there was a mod which I used for Stockholm whenever I flew into it, and well, that has now been replaced, I see, with this fantastic handcrafted airport. Now, with the nature of this update, we're not going to be able to visit everywhere tonight, I'm afraid. If we do get a chance, we might just quickly load into some of the other handcrafted airports that have been built, but I'm afraid we're just going to try and cut across and see some of the sites. If I bring up the VFR map, let me see if I can just grab that. I've already got a bit of a route planned in here. So we're going to depart from Stockholm. Let me just bring that down. Depart from Stockholm and then we're going to head south, and we've got the points of interest. We've got the Swedish Opera House, as well as a lot of the other points of interest are just there as well. We're then going to cut across. We've got a few airfields as well scattered along the way, and then we're over near Gothenburg. A bit further down we've got Kronborg Castle, and then we come in and see quite a few sites over in Copenhagen, which looks to be taking us around 2 hours in total. So really looking forward to doing that, and it is going to be something very different today because I am not flying this in the Airbus 320. I thought I couldn't possibly do the flight that I want to do around the Nordics and show off the scenery in the Airbus A320. It's not the world's greatest VFR aircraft, is it? So instead we have opted for an aircraft which can pretty much land almost anywhere. So we're sat, ready to go, runway 26. Let's get going. So I will be flying a lot of this aircraft probably outside the aircraft so we can enjoy, and really going to be looking forward to taking you guys on this route that we've got planned. The reason I've got the route planned in as well is because a lot of the time I just want to crank autopilot on and, just like you, enjoy the beautiful scenery that we've got. Pilot Pat, thank you very, very much for your kind donation, and Pilot Pat says, great streams, Gav. You are very, very welcome. Hope we can entertain you this evening on this late one. So we're going to release the parking brake. And I should warn you, by the way, I have no idea how to fly this aircraft. I don't think I've ever selected this aircraft since since the simulator was released. So God knows how we're going to get this doing. I'll just be hoping I can get the autopilot working. We did some flaps, I know that much. I think in FSX, about 10, maybe 12 years ago, however, I flew around the world in the Cessna Caravan that was included there. However, it was nowhere near as detailed as this aircraft is just here. So we'll just have to see what happens. Let's push the throttle open and get going. So I'm expecting a little bit of torque. Yeah, I have to put some rudder in to hold us on that centre line. But we'll get airborne, get the autopilot on, and we're going to enjoy the views that I'm looking forward to seeing. And whoa, that's not the best start, is it? Let's get airborne. It doesn't take much to get this aircraft in the air. Look at that, nice slow airspeed, and we're already up. And amazingly enough, the last time I flew the Cessna Caravan, it most certainly did not have a glass cockpit. Eastbirds around the world in 80 gigabytes. Yeah, look at that SAS hangar. Is that a TUI sign as well that I've just seen there? Amazing. So I just need to keep a bit of an eye on what's happening here in the flight deck. But yeah, I'm going to bung that autopilot on in a moment. So let's just start by setting, let's set a couple of thousand feet. In fact, no, let's go 1500 feet. That's good. Pop that on, pop the nav on, and engage the autopilot. There it is. I'll also put the flight directors on as well. And there's the aircraft that we saw right at the very start of the stream as we leave Stockholm Arlanda. And I've just realised the autopilot doesn't work quite like the Airbuses. I need to set the altitude once I'm actually at the altitude that I want. Let's just continue climbing, shall we? This is all we want. And as I say, I've cranked the graphics up somewhat, so the amount of trees that this scenery is having to load in at the moment is absolutely insane. But it's going to look absolutely fantastic. Why is the autopilot beeping? Turn that off. I know I've turned the autopilot off. Stop beeping at me. Can I check out the Norwegian fjords maybe later? We will do. I want to. The problem with this update is it's so big, isn't it? What a massive update it is that they've done. I would imagine by square mileage, is this not the largest update in terms of distance? I think it has to be, doesn't it? In terms of the distance, it has to be. I've got real live weather on. I'm getting bounced around here at the minute. But I'll get us up to a decent altitude, and then we'll select that. And then once we've done that, we'll get autopilot on, get the nav on. There we go. Now let's turn that autopilot on. Hopefully it won't kill us. I have no idea how this autopilot works, by the way. It seems to be wanting to kill me. Oh dear, never mind. We can VFR it. It's going to get me on the nav, and the cloud conditions are good, so hopefully it won't kill me too much. Dark, it's all those trees for the Swedish furniture. Yeah, maybe that's why IKEA's came from Scandinavia. There we go. Right, aircraft seems to be behaving itself, and there we are. So I set the time of day for early morning, just so we've got daylight. So is anybody who's in the chat at the moment actually from, well, Sweden at the moment, as we've just departed Stockholm? And if so, you can perhaps give me more information. Are meatballs on the manifest today? Can't go to IKEA without getting some of those. I knew someone that used to go to IKEA, not for the furniture, but literally just for the meatballs. Surely that's not right. I'm going to knock autopilot off in a sec. Let's turn that off, and I'm going to just have a look over here. And I'm presuming as well what they will have done is they will have added sort of better textures for the local buildings, pretty much like they did. They're called procedural buildings, aren't they? They've done it for Japan, and they've done it for they did it for England as well when the UK update came out. So it's nice to have now different buildings shown for different areas of the world. Much more realistic. They've not just got them all exactly the same, which is really nice, really neat. Let's pop the nav back on, and it'll spin that around, and we can enjoy the scenery as is. That looks like a prison. I'm guessing it's not. But that looks phenomenal. I am noticing a little bit of stuttering, and I think actually I know why. Just bear with me one quick second. I know there was an option I was playing with. I meant to remove this before I started the stream. I just want to turn that render scaling down. I'm also just going to turn the terrain detail down a little bit, just because I'd rather have a smooth flight. And let's be fair, I don't know if you've played with these settings at all. It actually makes very, very little difference to what we have. So I can now go back, resume. We might notice that's just a little bit smoother. Oh yeah, I can tell that's smoother there. So our first stop on the tour, get the GPS tracking on, is going to be the well, it's technically the Royal Swedish Opera House, but there's lots of other buildings over there as well. Lord Akuni on Twitch, you used to go to IKEA for the meatballs and hot dogs. Oh yeah, don't forget the hot dogs. While your other half spent hours looking at bedding. Wow, yeah, okay. Just watching this aircraft sort of crabbing around. I can hear the wind as well. Carl Anderson says you're so disappointed with Sweden. Why, Carl? What are we missing? What are we missing? You don't see any changes at all. What changes were you expecting? What didn't you manage? Pilot Pat, how many passengers did I crank in? Well, so far we've got about 109 of you on viewing the stream. So 109 of you are all crammed into this tiny Cessna caravan. That's okay. So, digital, the next World Update. World Update 6. We're not even through this one yet. We're already looking at World Update 6. But the next one's going to be Germany, Austria and Switzerland. That's going to be interesting. Particularly Switzerland. They can't do any more with Innsbruck, can they? Innsbruck's already looking mighty fine. Captain 79, yeah, so there is a new route. And there's another new route I'm going to be doing very soon on a live stream coming up, and that is between Manchester and Newquay. Newquay, a nice another short runway where you don't want to get that landing wrong either. Not as short as Jersey or anywhere like that, or that airport that we landed in Rio de Janeiro the other day. My word, that was short. But that was good fun. So this is where, if you've got Google Maps handy, it would come in quite useful to be able to see what it is we're actually flying over. I say, when I was flying over England, it was great. That's where I'm from, so I could point out everything that I recognised. But I don't know. The problem is as well, I normally fly 30,000 feet up in the air, so I don't normally get this low unless I'm landing. And I think this looks blooming good, to be completely honest with you. I think this looks really, really good. So, not sure how poor you think the photogrammetry is, Carl, but I'm really liking this. And the fact that it's a little windy as well means that the waves you can see just chopping about a little bit. Not beautifully smooth. We can play around with that though if we wish. So here we come into the heart of Stockholm, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Bugger bin base bin. I didn't read that correctly, but you just had a quick flight over Iceland and you think there's far too many trees. This looks great though. I think this does. I think this looks fantastic. And here we go. We're about ready to start flying over some of the main buildings. And I think what you've got to remember as well is it is a flight simulator. You're not really designed to be flying sort of over here at 600-700 feet. But even flying over here at 600-700 feet, I think this looks mighty fine. Really enjoying that. Now, so I'm just going to take autopilot off for a second. We'll knock that back on in a moment. But yeah, let's just go and have a look a little bit more around here. Is that a road sunk underwater? Surely that's not normal. But this is really rather nice. I love the fact that you don't just get the square buildings, but you do get the curved buildings as well. As you can see just there, everything in previous simulators was just square, wasn't it? And here we go. Is this the Stockholm football stadium coming up? Is that being used as part of the Euros? I don't know. I don't actually know what the all the venues for the Euros. But that looks great. I like that. Look at this. That is really neat. I bet there's no one playing football though. Spot on. Oh, and even the lines are there. Right, pop autopilot back on. I like that. That's great stuff. I know people are doing tours of football stadiums, aren't they? and the fact that you can do something like that at all, I think, is remarkable. And we head out now into the suburbs. And what I was saying earlier about they've changed the procedural buildings, the housing, as you can see, they're coloured, so you wouldn't get these buildings as being shown in England, for example. So that's really, really nice to see. Hello, what's this? That's a big building. I don't know what that is. If anyone cares to let me know. It's obviously not a handcrafted building. That looks like a train line, train station down there. Going to a depot. But yeah, there's going to be lots and lots of trees, lots of water. That's the sort of thing that's that we were expected to see on an update over here. So that's our whistle top. Let's try that again. Our whistle stop tour of Stockholm. Digital, is anyone else seeing green roads? I don't know. Are they green? I'm not sure. Carl, well, that's interesting because we finish our flight today at Copenhagen, so we'll have a look at that. I've just knocked autopilot off now because I want to go and have a little look over here. We'll get autopilot back on in a moment. JJ, is that a Volvo factory? Ah, right. Did you know that just off by heart, or have you got local knowledge, or are you following the flight on Google Maps? So there's quite a few of these church buildings, isn't there? I don't know if they're handcrafted or if that's just artificial intelligence. Look at the long shadow. How amazing is that? That's great. And then we have another one of those churches. I wonder if they are. I don't know enough about the area as to whether they are modelled, or is that just the wondrous AI doing its job. I love the fact that we've got little football pitches there also shown. I'm just going to pop autopilot back on now. I'm still amazed that we actually have bridges in a simulator, not like the old days. So let me just check how we're doing with our VFR map, getting back on course. So if we see any airstrips, anything like that, we might make a stop. Looking fantastic. And the great thing about this aircraft is if we actually fancied it, we could just go and land in one of these fields, just for the hell of it. So Kevin, you're seeing a lot of green roads around your local area too for some reason. Road textures just end out of nowhere, so you'd say it's something to do with the Bing maps. Well, there's one way to find out. If you want to pull the Bing maps up, you can probably see, because that's what it's using, isn't it? But I like this sort of detail. We got all those sort of tiny little streets that you'd never see on any other simulator. And look at the thickness of the forestry that we're now going to start seeing. Passing over lots of towns. I believe that must be a quarry of some description. And again, another one of those churches, and another one. It's really surprising because there's loads and loads of churches scattered around the English countryside, and I've never seen them. Not this frequent, anyway. So our next stop is going to be Echo Sierra Kilo November airfield, wherever that is. But they are the sorts of graphics that you can quite easily fool people into believing that they're real. And we've said this before on this channel. It would be so easy to fool somebody with a photo. And I keep seeing like-for-like comparisons popping up somewhere. And I think that's absolutely fantastic when you see the simulator version and you see the real-world version. And it can sometimes take you just a second to work out which one is actually real. And the fact that it takes you that long, a second or more, is testament to how good and how far Microsoft Flight Simulator really has got. And again, just narrow country roads and the shadows of all the trees as well cast on the floor. And I'm wondering, again, I don't have the local knowledge for this, but I'm betting all these large lakes, riverbeds, they've all got names. None of them that I can pronounce. And tiny little villages, they're all here, all scattered around. And then this looks like a sort of major motorway, dual carriageway, something like that, which is going in the same sort of general direction as us, so why not? Let's follow the highway. Anyone tell me which highway this is? Just from following it on Google Maps or Bing Maps. If we get back in the flight deck, the problem, of course, with the Cessna Caravan is it's great for being able to land anywhere. Not so great for VFR seeing on the inside, because it's got a great blooming big flight deck. Okay, the radio altimeter calling out, but we don't care. Not tonight. Lee Rose, it's the road to hell. I love that it's just not flat. You can tell that's slightly uphill. Combrig, the highway takes you right down to Malmo. Fair enough. Dark Fury, is it the E4? Land the aircraft on the E4. We probably could, though maybe not at 170 knots. I don't even land the A320 at that speed. So, the fact that I don't do VFR flying very often, can you tell? So Christian, this is why I love this community that we have here on the channel, and it's you guys that make it. So Christian with the local knowledge, it's the longest motorway in Sweden. Goes from Helsingborg, next to Denmark, to Haparanda. I'm going to have to read that again. Haparanda in the north, next to Finland. Wow, that is a long motorway. So it's kind of taking me in the direction that I wanted to go. I was just having a look to see if there were any sort of tiny little grass airstrips, and I'm using the VFR map for that. None that I can really see. But I don't have a PC powerful enough to do VR, but if I did, my god, it'd be good. It must be absolutely fantastic. Those of you that are lucky enough to have VFR, I'm sure you can testify. It's amazing. Dark Fury, the only reason you know that motorway is Euro trucks. Hey, it's more than I knew, mate. It's more than I knew. Alright, so we'll get ourselves back in the general direction that that I wanted to head. In fact, this will do. So if we now go to heading, we can push the heading bug. Let's select heading and get autopilot 1 back on, just to get us in that general direction. That will do nicely. Stephen, why is the autopilot flashing red? Probably because it was disconnected at the time. Lee, you've just flown around the Norwegian fjords. It's awesome. Well, if we get time, we'll go and have a look at that. I am aware it's a very late stream tonight. What is it? It's now 11 PM here in the UK. One of the things that makes me, that takes my breath away every time I fly close to the water, is the textures of the water here in the simulator. It's just so realistic, isn't it? It's absolutely amazing. So many lakes, so green. What an amazing part of the world. I mean, we think England is green with its countryside and nice lakes, but there's not a patch on this. Comrade, you're holding back on the CRJ. Are you right doing so? You love the aircraft, but it seems buggy and overpriced. I can't really say it's buggy, to be honest with you. It was a little bit when it first came out. There was a great problem with the glide slope capture, and you'd be on the glide slope coming down and suddenly it'd just try and kill you. They've now fixed that, so that's good. As for being overpriced, that's difficult to say. What's going on here? That looks like a strange sort of cliff edge. That's a bit weird, isn't it? Well, it looks absolutely stupendous from this side of the cliff. But yeah, that did look a little bit weird. Combrig, yeah, so I don't think it's overpriced. I think the amount of work that has to go into it, and we know when PMDG come out with their 737s, maybe 777s, you're going to be looking nearly £100 for one of those. Rotten, you can't compare Sweden to England. England's a parking lot. Well, when you compare it like that, you're quite right. It's so dense in its population. Can anyone tell me where that airport is, by the way? Echo Sierra Kilo November. I'm sure someone will pull that up for me in the chat pretty soon. Has anyone got a price yet? Of course, it's DC6 day tomorrow, isn't it, for PMDG? That comes out tomorrow. Has anyone seen a price for that? So, Comrig, if you've got the 737 from PMDG, then I think you'd be more than happy with the CRJ. from what I found and seen, and obviously it's not my area of speciality, that's the Airbus, but from what I've seen, it's fantastic and very, very good. So it's Stockholm Skavsta Airport. Oh, we'll have a look at that then. What I love about the fact that although we have the handcrafted airports that we obviously have, we've all seen, then they go ahead and they go in and edit a lot of the other airports as well. Haven't they done something like 77 airports? And it's that I think really makes it really nice. And one of the things they do is they make sure all the taxi signs are right. They make sure that some of them have even got the parking stand numbers on there. I think it's great that they've done that. I know I forget which airport it was I landed in, in I think it may have been France. I forget which one it was. And it wasn't a handcrafted, custom-built airport, or anything like that, or even a modded airport that I'd downloaded. And it looked great. It had got all the parking stands on. I think that's brilliant. I've had to turn multiplayer on. The reason I haven't got multiplayer on is just because of the bandwidth. I imagine it's going to be quite busy over here this evening. That looks like a nice pool of algae, doesn't it, in the standing watered lake, which is actually quite realistic. So we shall have a look at the airport coming up. Let's just get that back into nav mode. It's going to be the worst landing in the world, by the way. It's just going to be a nice VFR landing. There's not going to be a traffic pattern in sight. So Lord Akuni on Twitch says it's great and amazing that they've been able to do the sort of updates that they are doing, but you're not sure the hard drive will be able to cope with updates like this. Do you mean in terms of size? Yeah, just how big will the simulator get? It's a burning question a lot of people have got. How big is this simulator going to get by the time they've finished? Right, so eyes out for that airport. And we'll have a quick look around. Dark, should we do a touch and go? We might do a touch and stop. we may do a touch and crash. Have you seen me try and land one of these things? Where's my dual autopilot? No, the weather's good enough. So we're going to VFR this all the way. It's getting a bit bumpy, isn't it? I can just see the aircraft twitching a little bit there. So we're about 5.5 miles out at the moment. I love the glare on the propeller. I think that's grand. That's not something you see in an Airbus. Tyler, you're going to have to get this game its own 1TB SSD soon, and Rotom is about 2 petabytes. I don't even know what a petabyte is. That's crazy language. Still looking tremendous though here, isn't it? Tim S, thank you very much for subscribing. Oh, smooth flying. Was that a Ryanair? Is that a Ryanair airfield? And they've pulled out. I see. Well, I can understand why at the moment. Right, so there's the airport. Let's start slowing it down, shall we? Get rid of the VFR map for this. And let's see how badly I can land one of these things. Not only how badly, I'm also using a side stick, which is just not proper. So we'll lose some airspeed, we'll get some flaps out, add some drag. And runway is just there. Instead of going for a tour around the airport, we'll land and then we'll take the drone camera out. Digital, what's that in litres? I love the aircraft shadows. You can just see, we look like a UFO. This is going to be a very late turn to final, isn't it? One of the big things about this simulator is the landing lights are actually on sticks, unlike in old simulators where it used to be, well, they didn't used to be on sticks, did they? They were just beacons of light in the ground. Cut throttle at 30 and flare. And we're down. We'll spin it around and take off. Clearly I paid no attention to the windsock there. We've landed on the wrong runway, I believe. We'll let this roll to the end. We'll spin it around and we'll get back out of here. Danny, are Wizz Air still flying to, and Ryanair? Oh, Wizz Air are everywhere at the moment, aren't they? J340, you have a 10 TB hard drive just for Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. I think that's the way to do it, isn't it? Right, let's spin this aircraft around. I just saw a reflection of the tail in the propeller. How amazing is that? I can hear the aircraft creaking. Can you tell I've not flown this aircraft before? It's amazing. So, let's just get back on the centre line. I'm going to nip with the drone camera. We'll just have a quick look. Right, let's just hold that there. And as I say, where's the... let's get the little drone camera out. See if there's anything majorly good about this. Now, I'm not expecting to see anything fantastic. Oh, let me just get rid of that. I'm not expecting to see anything fantastic at this airport. It's not a handcrafted airport. It's just a random airport in the middle of nowhere. But I just think, look at that. Look, look, look. This is what I'm talking about. They've got the taxi signs now on the taxiway. And this is a random airport that I've just picked out. Obviously we know we're going to have ground crew, stuff like that, but the fact that we've actually got parking, I mean, how good is it for people that fly on VATSIM? For people that fly on VATSIM, you can't beat it. You would need handcrafted airports in any other simulator to get that kind of realism. In case you can't tell, I'm a major fan of Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. And that was before they started doing all these updates. That runway looks huge. I don't know how big it is. Perhaps it's just because I'm used to the Airbus, but that looks insane. Oh, a bit too close to the grass there. Right. On we go. So, Diaghost, in your opinion, Flight Sim 2020 is still a game and not a proper simulator. When does it become a proper simulator? Eh? Answer me that question, guys. When does it become a proper simulator? And try not to say when it's got study level aircraft, because we know that they're already on their way, and we've obviously got the CRJ, the fly-by-wire, which is just getting better and better all the time, literally day by day. So PMDG comes out tomorrow with their first aircraft. When does it become a proper simulator? In terms of VFR practice and training, is there any other simulator that comes close? If that was originally a military airport, then Dark, that will be why it has such a long runway. Oh, Danny, was it only 45 meters wide? That's pretty standard, isn't it? It's when you get ones that are 60 meters wide and you're coming in on the Airbus and you get a false perspective, then you start to wonder. So rather than you think FSX feels more like a proper simulator, whilst Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 you believe still is more like a game. But then again, I think this simulates reality far better than any other simulator. Right, so nav alt is on. Let's get the autopilot 1 back engaged. There we go. We'll let the aircraft carry on. Digital, you make a very good point. It's a proper simulator when the FFA CAA certify it for real-world flight training. Anything other than that, it's technically a game. However, Microsoft Flight Simulator is close enough to be a training aid. Well, absolutely, it's close enough to be a training aid. If I was a real-world, if I was going on a real-world PPL flight, just saying I'm going to go from my local airfield down to somewhere that I didn't know, I'd never been before, and I'm going to do it entirely VFR, then I would feel very confident doing the flight here in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and then getting my bearings here in the simulator, and then knowing that I'm going to see pretty much exactly what I saw here in the simulator in the real world when I got there, because it is that good. And I know people say, a lot of people say that the graphics are stunning, but the actual aircraft isn't particularly realistic in terms of the flight dynamics. So Danny, as you've just pointed out, flying in VFR looks amazing, but if you want to really train VFR, the feeling of the aircraft is way too sensitive. Is that down to the simulator, or is that down to the aircraft? Which is it? I haven't got any VFR or sort of GA payware aircraft, so I can't really say. I've only got the default ones here from the simulator. This looks rather blustery though. You can see the aircraft getting battered at the minute. Filling the sick bags up, that's realistic, isn't Jockstein, would 30 FPS be okay on the Xbox Series? Well, what you're watching now is probably about 30 FPS. So if you're happy with this, yeah, this is bouncing around between 27 and 31 FPS. So digital, you used to use FSX as a trading aid when you're doing cross country somewhere you'd not been before. Exactly. And as you quite rightly say, it would be even better here, wouldn't it? If you've had this technology back then. Now we've got a few little peaks here. Is that... oh, wow. Well, I don't think the physics of that water is quite correct. Let's just go and have a quick look. What is that? That's not normal. Yeah, so I think there's still a few errors. You don't notice them quite so much if they're filled with trees. But let me just get a little bit closer to this and see what this is all about. So there's a great big mountain which the farmers ploughed over. Water is apparently flowing uphill. Well, I love that the terrain glitches still cast shadows. So there are a few glitches there, isn't it? Raquela, good afternoon. Good evening, rather. So you're a bit disappointed with ESSL in today's update. That's where you work, and it's all wrong. They've updated it, but it's not right at all. Oh dear. Yeah, that was a bit interesting, wasn't it? So getting back on course now. The next airport that we're sort of flying over is ESCK. It's only a small airfield. I don't know which airfield that is. I'm sure someone will let me know in a couple of minutes. But if we gain some altitude for a little bit, and we'll get a much wider look. So at the moment, let's just get up here, and we'll be able to skip on over to our next point of interest. Lennart the chauffeur, welcome to your country. Well, you can tell us where we are then, because I have no idea. I'm just literally enjoying the view and the VFR sites. Christian, so you think I'm approaching Kolmarden, which I've pronounced very incorrectly, a classic Swedish leather destination with having one of the biggest animal zoos in Sweden. I wonder if that's replicated. At least sunset would look good. Sunset always looks good, doesn't it, in Microsoft Flight Simulator? So, still a few terrain glitches around that we've seen. Let's let me just reset the altitude. And then we'll get the autopilot turned back on. There we go. So I can concentrate on more sightseeing now rather than flying. You see the ripples though, can't you, around the little land masses? That's really neat, really nice to see. This is live weather as well, actually, at the moment. Obviously not live time, but live weather. So ESSP is no coping. Again, my apologies for the pronunciation. Lee, you want an ABBA soundtrack. Aviation Flavor, am I going to be flying in Finland? I may have a quick look at the handcrafted airports, but as I was saying a little bit earlier, they've updated such a massive area today. It's almost impossible to fly over everywhere in one stream. But do make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on that notification bell, because we will, I'm sure, be off to Finland in one of our real ops flights in the A320, without a shadow of a doubt. Right, autopilot off, let's wing it, literally. I want to have a little bit of a look at the scenery I'm seeing over here. So is it just me that isn't always that disappointed with the fact that I believe this is an update without any photogrammetry, isn't it? Is that right? I don't get too disillusioned by that. I really don't. Probably because of the kind of flying I do. I'm always quite high up normally. But yeah, I think for the kind of flying I do, it adds a lot of pressure onto your GPU, CPU. We'll do a quick airport flyover, see what we can see. Juxton, thank you very much for subscribing. And I can't see any yeah, so there's no handcrafted ooh, a bit low to that building. There's no handcrafted things going on there in terms of taxiway markings, but that's okay. I did expect to see more traffic on the roads. I have turned the traffic up quite high. I expected to see more, but never mind. I think the only way you can compare X-Plane, or any other simulator for that matter, with Microsoft Flight Simulator, is have a look at X-Plane in its default state. Or any other simulator, P3D, FSX, have a look at it in its default state. No mods, no add-ons, no payware scenery, no payware aircraft. Then you get somewhere close to being able to do a proper comparison. Leonard, your ex-wife lives here. Tell her hello. Do you want me to dive bomb her, or ah, so which airport's this? It's got big X's down it. All the runways are closed. Is this no longer in use? no longer in use. So I'm presuming that's right then, guys, is it? For those of you that are on with local knowledge. Yeah, that's the first time I've seen one of the airports closed. What's beeping at me? Oh, good lord. Let's pull that thrust back, shall we? And then we've got a great little bit of cross-country flying. Literally, cross-country flying. So that airport code was Echo Sierra Charlie Kilo. Echo Sierra Charlie Kilo, if anyone wants to go ahead and pick that out. Jock's saying, which kind of budget flight stick do you recommend on the Xbox series? Ah, right, well, I'm afraid I'm the wrong person to ask with that. I have an Xbox, but I only have an Xbox One. I think they're still debating as to whether that's coming out just then. Poseidon 63, I wholeheartedly agree with you. A couple of years from now, nothing will be close to flights in 2020. Haven't X-Plane just released their upgrade? Is that right? Or have I made that up? I don't really follow X-Plane. When I'm flying VFR in places like this, places where I have no idea where they are, I'll fly over places, you'll see tiny little villages, tiny little houses and think, oh, I'd like to go there. All these places in the world. Roy Kell, whereabouts is that? So here's our flight plan at the moment. Oh, I think, well, yeah, we're coming up to ESSL. Yeah, no problem. We'll buzz it. In fact, you know, we might even land there. It literally is right on the flight plan. So Roy Kell, we'll have a quick look. What I like to hear from people that work at specific airports or pilots that fly into specific airports that I have no idea about and haven't visited in the real world is I like to know what it looks like on the approach. How close does that approach look to the real world? That's really neat to be able to see, and a lot of times pilots look at it and go, actually, yeah, that's pretty darn close. Fantastic scenery. Oh, do you know, I'm really glad that I can do this on live weather without having to change it. Of course, I don't know if anyone is actually here in real life, whether it is cloudless skies at the moment. There's another one of those churches, look. I wonder if it's just one of the procedural buildings for for the update. We've seen quite a few of those, haven't we, already in the flight today? Soviet Wizard, the trees are like 60% of making the sim look good. Yeah, well, this part of the world certainly are. Yeah, Dark, I think the only way you can compare FS 2020 to X-Plane is if you strip X-Plane right back to its out-of-the-box state. Because that's still pretty much what you're seeing right now. And Danny, I have to half agree with you in the chat there. I love these world updates. I think they're fantastic, and we get some great scenery. And for those of you that like VFR flying, well, it's just absolutely perfect. But what I would love to really see is the fact that we all know there's problems with the autopilot. Particularly in the Airbus. We all know there's problems with the autopilot on approach. Trying to sort out the navigation computer, add stars, delete waypoints, stuff like that. We know it causes problem. I'd love to see them sort that out. That would be really nice if they could. So I don't know, but maybe they could have, because what are they doing? Is it a new sim update or a new world update every couple of months? I'd take 6 months off while they worked on that instead. I can't believe in Sweden they navigate by churches. Here in the UK we navigate by pubs. Yeah, and half of those have closed down. Right, so we're going to swing over to the left in a moment. And that's to check out Linköping. Again, apologies for the dreadful pronunciation. So there's the airport. And we'll have a quick look. In fact, are we a bit too high? We're a bit too high to go and land at that at the minute, aren't we? Let's go for an emergency landing, shall we? Let's cut the thrust, we'll come out and then we'll come back in and we'll have a quick look around, see what it looks like. Seriously, look at all the churches. There's loads of them. Absolutely loads. Okay, let's spin this around and start praying, guys. I don't want to smash anyone's beers. I love how fast you can lose speed and altitude in this aircraft compared with the Airbus. Still a bit too high. Let's get that nose down. Should probably check the wind and things, shouldn't I, for landing at places like this. So we'll get down, and again, we'll get the drone camera out. Come on, get down. Ooh, there we go. Not the smoothest of landings, but we don't want to see smooth, do we? Right, so let's just hold that there. Get the parking brake on, get the drone camera out. So this is not, again, not one of the handcrafted airports. It's just a random airport. There's a roundabout to nowhere. What's that meant to be? Or is it a bandstand? I'm not sure. Right, so the main terminal, I don't know this airport at all, by the way, but we've touched down. This obviously looks like the main terminal area. Yeah, so this one hasn't got any of the signage, on it. It's got a terminal building, air conditioning fans at the top. Yeah, I'm guessing it's not absolutely spot on, but I don't know. You'd have to pay a lot of money, wouldn't you, to get a spot on airport for most other simulators. But the main terminal's at the end of runway 11. We've got that covered over there. And look at all the churches, seriously. And there's the other airfield that I was about to head towards. So let's go spin it around and let's do that. So let's just come back down here. Get back in the aircraft. Release those parking brakes again. And let's go. We still have cars playing chicken with aircraft. That hasn't changed. Up, up and away. Now let's quickly spin her around and we'll fly over the airport that we were destined to go to. One of the things that impresses me is obviously every airport, or at least almost every airport in the world. What is it? Something like 37,000 airports. 37,000 airports. And they're all there. Okay, not every one of them is in mind-boggling detail, but I bet if I landed at that airport in FSX, it'd look like a racetrack and flat, with maybe a square building just for the fun of it. I mean, it's perfect. Has Microsoft or Azobo said when they're going to be releasing a replay tool? Because that's got to be quite high on everyone's agenda, hasn't it? Clearly, the main train station for the city. I wonder if we'll ever get moving trains like we've got on, like we've got cars on the roads. Wouldn't it be quite nice to have moving trains as well? That'd be pretty neat. Though I'm not quite sure what the frame rate impact would be on that. Right, Kel, we're flying over your apartment now. Not that far for you to get to work, then, is it? Well, Raquel, at least you know it's not just you. The airport looks the same for me as well. Jhog 2001, good evening. No issues at all.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has now turned off the seatbelt sign and you are now free to move around the cabin. We do recommend, however, when in your seat, that you keep your seatbelt fastened at all times in case of unexpected turbulence. The toilets are now available. Please contact a member of the cabin crew if you require assistance. Thank you.
Apparently self-loading cargo has just sprung to life. Okay, so what I'm going to do, because quite a few people want to see a few specific areas and it's just too big to fly, is I think what we're going to do is we're going to we'll exit the sim, we'll zip down then to Copenhagen, have a quick fly around there. We shall then come up and have a look at the Norwegian fjords all the way up there, and then we should probably have a look at Finland as well, shouldn't we? We've not seen any of Finland at the moment. So what do we think, guys? You happy to do that? Let me know what you think, or do you want us to continue our sort of scenic tour as it is? Let me know. You guys are in charge of streams like this. I'm happy to go with what you guys want to do. I just think it looks phenomenal. Now that looks like a road I could land this aircraft on. Is that still part of that same highway that we saw earlier? Tell you what, if we're going to zip on to Copenhagen, let's have a little fun before we go. Let's see if we can get her down on the highway. How many of you have done this yet in the simulator? I'm sure you've all done it. I'm not sure I have. I don't think I have. But I'm looking forward to seeing Copenhagen and then a quick tour around the fjords as well. I'm interested to know if this is the same. It is the same highway. Wonder how long that highway is. That must be absolutely immense. Just watching we don't overspeed. It seemed a lot straighter back there. It's suddenly gone jerky again. Oh, there's a satellite imagery fail there, isn't there? Should we not land on the join? Oh, there's a bridge. Let's go over the bridge. Over the bridge. I don't think we can fly under them. Come on then. Slow the aircraft down. Oh, that's better. Oh, pylon. There's a lot more cars here than there was before. There didn't used to be this many cars. Oh, bridge again. Bridge again. Okay, over the bridge. Over the bridge. Oh, into the bridge. Oh, crumbs. So this is a good time to exit and jump to Copenhagen. So, did anybody spill their beer? Okay, we'll jump to Copenhagen. I kind of want to fly around there a little bit. There's lots of points of interest that they've thrown up there, so I'm looking forward to that. Nick! Good evening, sir. We've been waiting for you. How was work? Right, so here we go. Let's get up in the air. Runway 22, right. Let's go. Roy, you gave us a 10 for the flip. Aha, spot on. Nice parking indeed. So we'll get loaded in. And I also want to look at this airport. This isn't one of the handcrafted airports either, is it, at Copenhagen? This is just another default airport. Nick, you're at the station. Are you streaming away on 4G or 5G? Hope you've got the headphones in. It's definitely time for a beer for me, I think. Although after the way I landed that aircraft, maybe not. Right, we'll obviously set it to daytime so we can see what's going on. And let's just wind that back. Or rather, should we wind it forward? What do we reckon? Sunrise? Sunrise would be okay, wouldn't it? Okay, flaps, power. Let's see what we can see around Copenhagen. I find this very oversensitive, particularly using a side stick. Up we go. Digital, have a great evening, my friend. I'll see you, I'm sure, very, very soon. So, let's get out of... let's get out of the cockpit, and we'll have a look. See what we can see. Oh look, another church. They're everywhere. So if we just get on the VFR map, all of the points of interest are kind of over this sort of area here, so we'll do a quick spin round. Roy Keller, no problem, my friend. We'll see you again very soon, I am sure. I'll just turn this baby around and try not to crash it into a bridge. So it was a shame about the sort of technical glitches with the scenery. We still had those lumps, didn't we? Although one was very affectionately covered with trees, so you couldn't notice it that much. Water flowing in the wrong direction. That was interesting. Nick, so far, no problems technically wise with the update. Stockholm Arlanda looked beautiful. Really, really nice. Comric, have they put the bridge in? Which bridge are you referring to? There is... was that the bridge? Looked like it, just there. Right, so what have we got down here? This looks complicated scenery down... just down there. I'm not sure if that's meant to be one of the handcrafted places. We're overspeeding a bit, let me just cut the power. what I should do, of course, in fact, I know what I should have done probably a little bit sooner. If I go to the assistance options, navigation age, we can put on the points of interest. I will also put the city markers on. I don't need the airport markers. Go back, resume. There we go. So the Copenhagen Opera House, Rosenborg Castle. We've got the football stadium as well over there. In fact, isn't that where the game was being played earlier this evening? Sunrise over Copenhagen. So there's the Opera House. What else do we have? Oh, there's Rosenborg Castle. And of course, we have to have a look at the football stadium, given the Euros are on. Soviet, you just moved to California. It's 4 p.m. and no one needs to go to sleep. I know, I'm looking at the time. It's nearly midnight here, guys. Nearly midnight, but we'll stay up a little bit longer. Show you some more of the sights. So nice to see the stadium in all its glory. That looks really good. I like that. I don't know why. It just looks very, very realistic. That did. And there's the Copenhagen city marker. The roof's on the stadium, so we can't attempt to land in it. And there we can see the streets of Copenhagen with the red roof. Looking very nice. Factory with its chimney. I wonder if they'll ever start adding plumes of smoke coming out of these. But yeah, you can see there's a train line there. Quite obviously a train line there. Looks like there was a train there as well at one point. I think it'd be quite nice if they had trains running. Dark, you on the school run in the morning? That's unlucky. I'm on the school run, but it's literally a 2-minute walk away, so that's not so much a problem. If need be, we can just roll out of bed. Is this a playground? A gypsy campsite? What's that? That looks neat. I don't know what it is, but that looks very neat. Quite a few detail in there. I mean, look at that. You got each of these little 3D objects that the simulator's got to have programmed in and loaded. I don't know if that's a point of interest, because it has to be, surely. Lots of great stuff in there. Well, Copenhagen is looking very, very nice, with a lot of detail. Soviet, isn't there an FAA where you have to be a certain altitude above a heavily populated area? Well, good job on it in America then. Oh, Comrade Danny, was that a circus? That's amazing. How many circuses have people spotted in Microsoft Flight Simulator? That would be my first. And I'm just pulling up a bit of altitude here so we can get an overall view of Copenhagen from the air. Such great graphics, detailed city, and this is not, remember, this is not photogrammetry scenery. It is just AI, artificial intelligence based on Bing map data, and it's doing a great job. Absolutely fantastic. Okay then, guys, what say we zip up to the fjords? The scenery there is meant to be absolutely stunning. Right, so if you want us to zip up to the fjords, which airport do you want me to depart from? Give us an airfield, grass strip, anything like that. Type it into the chat now, and we'll do it. After that, we'll zip across to Finland and have a look at their handcrafted airports. Okay, so let's get out of here, and we're going to check out some of the new scenery, because they've also done the mesh and elevation data, haven't they? So that should be quite nice and neat. Okay, so Copenhagen is looking great. In fact, there is one thing I didn't do. Hang on a second, let me just resume that. Right, well, hopefully the aircraft won't crash. There is one thing I wanted to do, and in order to do this, I'm going to have to undock. There we go. We'll just let that aircraft fly off somewhere. Where is the airfield? Because what I wanted to do and check is if there had been any handcrafted stuff added to the airport. We didn't check that, did we? I want to see. It's not a handcrafted airport. It's not a handcrafted airport, but I want to see if they've added the any taxiway signs or anything like that. And we'll see. Danny, I didn't land on the football pitch. No, I couldn't land on the football pitch. The roof was closed. Text, that's great. Can you give me the ICAO code, mate? And I will pop that in. I'll go and find it. Christ knows where that aeroplane's gone. He's disappeared. Oh, Combry, can we go? Can we go there? ESNG. We'll go for that. Right, so runway 22 right is the first one running from left to right. Let's have a look over here, see if we've got any more details with regards to the signage. Oh, that's actually quite disappointing. It wasn't one of the handcrafted airports, but I'd hoped that we'd have some taxiway signs, not the taxiway signs, but you know, the signs on the ground letting you know which parking stands it was. Pilot Pat, thanks very much, mate, for stopping by, and of course thank you very much for your kind donation as well. I look forward to seeing you on the next flight. Right, so a little bit disappointed there. Maybe that will come at some point. Okay, right, well, we should probably go and find our airplane. Let's let's go to the main menu again. Okay, so then let me just type this in. Where are we going? ENSG. Where's that? all the way up here. That looks like a good shout for the fjords. Let's pop that in. Oh, well, the weather looks cack, doesn't it? Soviet, yeah, we've just let that aircraft fly. It'll come back down when it runs out of fuel. Tex, how far away we're loading into that? Can we fly between the two? I've just got to keep an eye on the time here, guys. It's now 5 past midnight. So, don't want to be too late, but I do want to go and check out Finland. And if we get time, also Iceland. See what Iceland looks like. Right. Here we are. It's obviously dark. Let's just liven up the... bring the sun up. Oh! Cack! Right, well we're not going to be flying with live weather, are we? We're not going to see anything. And as if by magic, the rain has stopped. Let's go. So we're not going to spend too much time around here. I just want to see what the fjords look like. And it's basically just checking the scenery out, isn't it? And as I said a little bit earlier on in the stream, the water effect looks absolutely immense here in this sim. Wow, look at that. What a perfect place to fly. And before we do go as well, guys, I will have a good landing challenge, so stick around for that. Look at the reflections. I mean, the elevation data has obviously all been increased as well. So we'll dip back down and just have a look around here. So I'm not going to spend too much time. You guys can explore this in your own time. So I'm unfamiliar with this particular area, but if there's any way you guys want me to quickly check out or point the plane, then yeah, we'll go for it. But just seeing this in the simulator is fantastic. Oh, we've got a little bit of snow still on the tops. That is stunning, isn't it? And I love the way we've got a little stream as well, coming off the hillsides. Hillsides? Mountains. We have hills in England. There are mountains up here in Norway. Text, 180, go south. Go for it. Hopefully without stalling the aircraft. So Tex, if you could speak speak aviation for me. I'm going over the SOG VOR, and then where do you want me to go next after passing SOG? Let me know where you want me to head. That looks amazing, doesn't it? I think this part of the world and Alaska, very, very similar. This is where aircraft that are able to land on water would come into its own, right? And around here, I don't believe there are any other. I don't believe there's any other airports, is there, around here? Obviously lots of little waypoints, but nothing else. So hopefully, Tex, I'm taking you where you want to go right now. Into this little arm? Is that what you were talking about? You didn't want us to go back, did you? If need be, I'll have to climb very fast. And we'll do a shortcut. But, wow, look at that. Look at that! That's stunning. Tex, did you want us to come down here, mate? Is this where you wanted us to go? Or did you want us to take our little trip here where we're heading? But, oh, wow. This is insane. Look at the details. I could fly through these crevices. I'm not gonna. But you get the feeling that you could. Ah, look at that. We've got water then running off the hillsides. So we'll take a little trip, we'll come over the hillsides and we'll drop into this little area just here. And look, obviously the higher we go, we're starting to see snow. And there's the water still flowing down off the hillsides. That's simply stunning. I have to keep climbing, otherwise the ground's going to come up and meet me. How high are we, just out of interest? About 4,000, 5,000 feet up. So if we head over here, pretty soon we should see the landscape start to drop back away and head down to the head down this little ford. Tex, I do have cruise ships and ferries turned on as well, and I cranked them up for this flight just to see how it would be. Oh, is this a little water glacier? Look at that. Look at this. Oh, wow. And it starts here, and is it actually flowing down? I think it is, you know. Here it comes. Here it comes. We're going to drop down into the basin. I've just realised as we stopped the flight earlier, the banner at the top is just giving duff information, so ignore that. Flying through some cloud, given that we're so high up. What are we at now? About 5,000 feet? Yeah, 5,000 feet. And we'll drop down and head inland. Down here in a minute. Look at the puddles of water. Or ponds of water, whatever you want to call them. We just come back in. I'm very close to the overspeed mark. Yeah, there's the beeping. Right, let's look at dropping then in down here to our left. We'll cut in here and then we'll zip across and have a quick look at the handcrafted airport in Finland. So, we'll make a sharp turn. And we'll head down this fjord just here. It would have been quite cool if we had have seen some cruise ships. I think that would have been a very, very nice touch. Obviously you can do Norwegian cruises. We're coming up to a fork in the road, guys. Where are we going? Left or right? Vote now. Are we going down here on the left? Or rather, let's not make it ambiguous. West or east? Pick a route, west or east. Wow. I can't really give too much commentary on this, guys. I'm just like you, just enjoying what I see. Okay, we'll take the eastern route, which is pretty much straightforward, isn't it? Look at the greenery being reflected. I'd love to see a side-by-side comparison with real photos and this. I'm just trying to safely get as low down as we can because I think it looks amazing. There's a bit of a scenery bug down here, but we can forgive them for that. You can just see on the cliff edges. Ah, is this a little village? Oh my god, can you imagine living here? Look at this. Oh wow. What a gorgeous place. And again, you can see water running off the valleys. and a path zigzagged up. And speaking about the water reflections, of course, if you change the clouds, look, I just love that. Look at the reflections on the clouds as I change them. They move. And you can just darken the sky a little bit, brighten it up with some sunlight. How stunning is that? And there's a little road there that you can see running along the edge of the shoreline. Wow. Who wouldn't want to go and visit one of these places? There's a harbour there that you can see. I'm yet to see any shipping traffic, which is a little bit disappointing. But I bet it wouldn't be too long before someone made a mod for that. And now we're skimming the water as I come down as low as I dare. Look at that water texture. Just look at that. Things that you'd never be able to do in real life. It's certainly been a very different stream this evening, hasn't it, guys? No real world ops in the A320. If you are new to the channel this evening, that's normally our game. Real world ops flights in the A320, so if you want to learn how to fly the A320 correctly and properly using real world SOPs, this is the channel for that. But just occasionally, it's nice to do something completely different, particularly when they've released scenery as good as this. There's a sunken ship. Wow. Well, you could spend all night exploring those fjords, couldn't you? You really could. And then flying between the valleys as well. As you can see, you could spend a long time just exploring the countryside. Fantastic. I'm sure there'll be a mod long that will bring cruise ships to the fjords. Now it's had the update. You can see the wind has just started to get up, rocking over as the scenery starts to become a little ragged with the elevation. Let's just do something a little bit crazy to finish that stream. Is that the wow? There's an attempt there at a waterfall, isn't there? I've not seen a waterfall in the sim just yet. I can't imagine what that's like to try and replicate. But you can see that is water that's flowing down there. It's just not been quite done correctly. I'm sure that's something else that will happen given the time. Okay, on to have a quick look in Finland. It is getting very late here. But while you're still here, I'm still here. So we're going to shift over to... That's Arlanda, and there's Vantaa. Now, funnily enough, I departed this airport, was it yesterday or the day before, for one of the real ops flights. Well, it wasn't a real ops flight, but it was a flight. So, semi-familiar with it. And we'll see how it goes. Nick, no real ops tomorrow, for one very good reason. There's a rather large football match taking place tomorrow night, which I imagine quite a few people will want to watch, myself included. So there will not be any stream tomorrow, but we'll be back over the weekend. I remember to you guys, if you haven't yet updated, one of the things you must do is ensure that you've emptied your community folder before you start. And then once you've done it, if you use rolling cache, make sure you've turned that off. Or deleted it, because it will need deleting before you start that again. Right. So let's just make it daytime. And get the drone camera out. And let's take a look, shall we? Let me just speed that camera up, otherwise we'll take forever going around here. There we go. So this is Vantaa, which they've now made handcrafted. You can see so I'm not seeing anything majorly different. I've just seen that they've got the stand signs and numbers into the taxiways, which I always think is a huge bonus. And yeah, so a lot of the taxiway markings have obviously been included. What on earth is that? Is that, or was that a helicopter when the satellite passed over? Or was the guy with the white paint drunk? Asked to draw a straight line, but he didn't know in which direction. So in terms of some handcrafted airports, I've got to be honest, that is probably one of the weakest I've seen. There's not really that much there, is there? I say it's got the gateway numbers. They're all done, but other than that, I can't see any other major improvements. There's no buildings with names on or anything major like we've seen in other airports. You think of London Heathrow or even Stockholm, where we've just been. It had the 747 restaurant in it. But yeah, I think this one for a handcrafted airport, I certainly do think this could have been better. I'm a little bit disappointed with this, if I'm completely honest with you. Never mind. And then finally, guys, the last place we're going to have a quick look at this this evening. We're going to zip over to Iceland and have a quick look. PGTV, did I download it in the marketplace? That is a good question. We've installed the scenery pack. But let's double check, shall we? So if we go to the full catalogue, in fact that's not what we want, is it? We want to go not to the marketplace. We want to go to the profile, content manager. We've got updates available, so these are various bush trips that we've got in. And what's not installed? Japan procedural buildings. Yeah, everything else is installed apparently. So that's strange. Oh well. Let's zip off over to which is the handcrafted airport that's been added here in Iceland. There is one, isn't there? But I can't remember which one it is. I have no idea, I'm afraid. Icelandic Air 217 is about to come into land. Let's just have a quick departure from Reykjavik. In fact, do we want to depart Reykjavik, or shall we go a little bit further north? Were they talking about adding the Northern Lights in? Can't remember. Yeah, it was certainly not handcrafted, or it certainly didn't look like it, did it? 1337. I will check that out maybe tomorrow. It's getting late here now. Something I'll check out, of course. But one of the things you know it has been edited. It's certainly been edited because it had the taxiway signs, the parking stand signs in the taxiway. So you know it's been edited because the default certainly didn't. It also said it had been edited as well, because the global map, when you clicked on it, it's got a little icon, hasn't it? So that normally tells you something. Now, this is going to load in live time in Iceland. Is it still going to have a bit of daylight? Yes, of course it is. It's 11:30. Oh, wow. Wow. I haven't even departed yet, and I think, wow. Oh my god, look at the clouds. Jeez. How good does that look? PGTV, yes, I know the update doesn't download all the content, but we've been flying around with the downloaded content for the last 2 hours, so it is downloaded. Let's take off and just have a quick look around here, shall we? So again, I'm not expecting to see anything major. The overall scenery has been obviously updated for Iceland. That was a bit windy. Damn, that looks good. And look at the little gap in the clouds over there. I just want to try and make it, if we just try and change the time a little bit. Just so I can see the ground a little bit more. And anything major. Oh, wow. Yes, look at this. Now there are loads of places, of course, in Iceland that I could spend an entire stream flying over, but I just don't have time tonight. It's midnight. I need to go to bed. It just looks simply stunning. I just wanted to check that Iceland was going to live up to the expectations that I know many of us have, and I'm pretty certain on a very quick first glance that that it will. And there are also several points of interest that have also been added as well, which you can obviously go ahead and check out. But this is live weather. Those clouds look tremendous. That little gap in the clouds there. And the beauty of the Cessna Caravan, I could land this absolutely anywhere. I could land this on the sand dunes. And I think quite recently there was there an eruption here? I'm sure I saw that. But that looks stunning. And some low-level cloud as well, as you can see. And I'm just letting the aircraft fly itself. I'm not touching it at the minute. I'm far too busy just admiring the scenery. Oh wow, look at that. You guys, I'm sure, will all come and explore this area when you get a chance. And we're going to have to do a real ops flight as well to Reykjavik. We haven't been to Iceland for a long time. Iceland had a problem, didn't it? Do you remember? Right when the simulator first came aboard. There was crash to desktops every time you tried to load in. which was no good, because everyone wanted to go to Iceland just to check out the stunning scenery. I think there's meant to be a point of interest around here. I can't recall what it was. But fantastic. No. Anyone care to tell me what the Hvitsker is? Is it a ship of some description? Looks like it. That's the thing as well, with all the points of interest, the simulator becomes a little bit of a learning tool. And there's a quick technique of how to get out of a stall in a Cessna Caravan. From stall to overspeed. Oh, it's not a shipwreck, it's just a rock, isn't it? Something to go and Google later. Okay guys, I've got one last thing to do before we end the stream this evening, and that is not change the options. Let's go to the main menu. And I'm going to have an attempt of the landing challenge. So we'll do this, and then at 20 to 1 here in the morning, it's definitely time for me to call it a night. So it's a small regional airport that serves the remote West Fjords aspect of the northwestern Iceland. Single 4,500 foot long runway tucked into the southeast nook of a fjord, making landing here very tricky. It requires pilot nimbleness and precision while flying inside the tight confines of the surrounding topography. Once at your base leg, which lies deep within the fjord, turn hard left, fly for less than a nautical mile, and then make up another tight turn left to line up and stick the landing. Let's have a go, shall we? Let's fly. Combrick, I will certainly check that out. I thought I'd downloaded all of it, but as you say, it certainly didn't look that handcrafted, did it, that particular airport? We'll have a quick look. After I've embarrassed myself trying to do this landing. This looks like a fantastic airport to land at as well, doesn't it? The bush trips that they've got on these, I was having a quick look at them before I started the stream this evening, and there looks to be some fantastic strips to land at. So let's just have a quick look at this landing. Again, you're greeted by stunning scenery at a great time of day as well. You're going to have the sun in your eyes as we do this. So we're in the Cessna Caravan. There is the airport. Right, okay. So let's start slowing down. And I'm going to treat this just like I would do in the A320. I want to be pretty much fully configured in an aircraft like this. What's interesting is that yoke is not doing it doesn't look anything like what I'm doing. So this is such a tight turn. You really don't have long at all for this. And I'm battling with wind. There's wind as well all over the place. This is going to be interesting. This is going to be one of those that is probably going to require some practice to get anywhere near a decent score. So, 2 tight left turns to make this landing. Can you imagine living here? Wow. You don't have long to make that base turn. Combrick, the scenery is a massive distraction on this challenge. It's amazing, isn't it? I don't know where this is. I'd have to double check it again. I just hit the load button, but wow. 500 feet. A sharp left turn. And I'm fighting with the weather, let alone anything else. And we've overshot the landing point by quite a bit, but we're down, if nothing else. Cruise ship. Well, as scenery goes, that is phenomenal. We're definitely going to have a look at that another time. It's a shame you can't get the A320 in there. That's a definite no-no. Okay, guys. Right. Thank you very much to each and every one of you for sticking with me for the World Update flight this evening. I'm certainly going to be tired in the morning. It's 1:45 here in the UK, but as we always do with after these updates, it's nice to be able to very nice to be able to do this, and the scenery is absolutely amazing. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Big welcome to all our new subscribers. Look forward to seeing you again when we're doing our real ops flights in the Airbus A320. No live stream tomorrow. We will be back over the weekend, where we shall be back in the comfort of the A320, and yeah, we'll be on VATSIM and doing our proper flights. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. Good night.